enough of this. It's caramel popcorn. It's delicious. And it's from Pee, the Sugarholic. Please follow her on Instagram. She's all on our page. We made a video for her. And yeah, give her a follow.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about delivery of the babies. So the last two videos we spoke about the pregnancy and how the trimesters went, what went well, what was crazy, what was stressful, and now we're here at delivery stage, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Exciting stuff. So just to recap from the last video that we shared, we spoke about the gynecologist telling us that he wants to deliver like the next day. So we obviously were in shock and everything, and we had to go for our COVID tests. And she had to also take steroid shots, 2 steroid shots. So the last one, it was around
I think 8:30 to 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so since then we went home and we were still like, we couldn't sleep thinking about the babies are coming tomorrow, and we went to sleep so late and we had to be at the hospital at what time?
By 6 to be there.
Like around 6 o'clock. So yeah, I mean, we got a few hours in, and then we had to pack our stuff and go to the hospital.
So our bag was packed with the basics, my pajamas, the baby's clothes. I think I packed like 3 or 4 sets. What else?
Nappies that
Yeah, enough for like 3 or 4 days. Basically whatever the baby would use for 3 or 4 days. My things, there was nothing much. So I read somewhere about lip ice and earphones, and I made sure I packed those 2 things, and it saved my life. But yeah, that was my hospital bag.
So as we were waiting there in the ward, she was laying on the bed. We were waiting for the nurse to come and just share some info with us. You know, when she came in, she took some of the readings for her pressure and all of these things. And then before she left, she mentioned that that they're going to be ready to take her, I think in an hour or 2 hours or so. And just before that, the doc will come, the gynae will come and chat to us. And I just wanted to confirm again if I was allowed to be in theatre with her. And the nurse was like, no, during this time we're not allowing anyone in theatre. And I was like, nope. That can't be, because we checked with the gynae and he said it should be fine, so please just confirm or check with the whoever's in charge or whatever. And yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't do this by myself, because at that point, like I already prepared myself for him to be in theatre with me. I don't think I would have been able to do it alone. It was scary. It was like my first time in hospital,
So the nurse went and she checked, and she did come back and tell us it was fine. I can be there just for the delivery. And then a while after, the gynecologist came in and he just had a quick chat with us, and he said he'll see us down in theatre.
So the nurse came in and got me dressed in a hospital gown, and then she told us that because the twins were going to be born early, they're definitely going down to the neonatal intensive care unit, which was the NICU ward. And we asked if we could see it, and they took us down for like a tour of the place. And it's a little section where like the small babies go, and has a lot of incubators and tubes and things like that. But there was a nurse there that gave us a talk and calmed us down, and well, really mentally helped prepare me to give birth. And yeah, then we went back up, and then they called us down to the theatre, to the waiting room.
Yeah, so we went down to the theatre. We didn't go in like the theater. We went in the waiting section of the theater.
Because there was somebody in there. There was a lady in there.
Yeah, so they were busy with one of the ladies that were pregnant. They were doing her delivery, and we were just waiting there. And while we waited, they told me to get into the gowns and stuff. And I'm not really sure whether they had gowns like for like spouses and whoever, but they gave me one of the doctor's gowns. So it had his name on the chest or the pocket area. It had his name, so I was just
Dr. Ram Narayan.
I was prancing around with like a doctor. So I was sitting there by her bedside, and yeah, so the anesthetist came, and he actually just came to fill out his form, but he actually just spoke to us, telling us what's going to happen. He tried to, give us some advice and just to let her know and calm her down and stuff like that.
And our gynae as well also was there, explaining the procedure from beginning to end, just so we weren't caught off guard.
Yeah, so he reassured us that it's just remember he thinks the babies are fine and everything's gonna be fine. So it was bearing in mind, the reason why we were there so suddenly is because he was concerned about the smaller baby. So we were stressed from that time, but he kept reassuring us that he just feels it's the right time and don't stress and don't worry and stuff like that. And we felt okay because he was the type of person and he knew what was happening. So yeah, as we waited and I was by our bedside, the door to come in is only way you can open it from the inside, where you tap that button and it opens from the inside. So anyone outside, they need access. So this lady came there and she tapped on the door, and I opened the door and she went in, and that was fine. Then I was like, okay, because I'm closest to the door, it's fine. They need to go in. Okay, cool. There's no one else there. And then after a while, someone else came to the door and they tapped, and I was like, okay, cool. Let me just go open the door.
He's just there, like opening.
Yeah, and remember, I'm wearing this doctor's gown, so and the cap and everything. You'll see pictures later after this video. But so I went to open the door, and as I was walking away, this lady came up to me and she was like, "They sent me from upstairs, and they need this urine something, I don't know what." And I was like, oh my god, like why do they need this thing, like and I'm thinking of her, and I'm like wondering, like, for the procedure, like, do they need something here now for a procedure? And I'm thinking, oh shit, like I didn't bring something from like the nurses or something. And she was just there, and she was like, and I said, like, who told you this? Then she was like, no, the nurses upstairs, they said I must come and get this thing.
And I must ask you.
Yeah, and then I was like, who did they tell you to come and speak to here? Like, and then she was like, they said I must come and ask you. I was like, me? I'm like, okay, then it must be me. But like, what did they need? And she was telling me this thing, and it was like some urinal package thing. I don't know what thing. And after a while, I was like, hey, I don't know, just like ask someone else or something. I don't know. And then she went in. And she marched right into the end, I don't know where, but someone chased her from there, and they were shouting at her and telling her, you're not allowed to be here, you need to stand behind the line, all of that. And then I was just sitting there by her bedside, and I was like, and then she walked past and she was like, you could have told me, and I said, you didn't tell me. I was like, I don't even know, like, what you want.
I'm just here, man.
Shit. But anyway, I was a doctor for that moment, it was cool. Yeah, so then they eventually took her into theater, and
they gave it was for the epidural, so he wasn't allowed in for that. And I feel like I needed him for that because I was just so scared, because you just sit there and like your hospital gown is like this, and the room is like
your bums are showing.
the room is cold, and my body was covered in that pups rash, and they were all like, what happened, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's this rash that developed, but I'm okay. And then the anesthetist was there, and he was honestly so good, and he really, I don't think I could have given birth without him there. Like he just kept me calm, and he was talking.
So I didn't have to be there then.
He was
Oh,
talking
okay.
me through everything. Ismail, okay, we'll get to that when the babies were coming out, but he was like there, like asking me if I was okay and stuff. So first they gave you like an injection to numb you, and that hurts more than the epidural. For me, it did, because when they gave me that, it wasn't so bad. So you hold a pillow here, you bend, the nurse is there, and you just there, man. And then like within a minute, I lost all feeling from like my waist down. I was just like it's my bottom half attached to my body, and then they take you from that bed to another bed, and they just lift you. It's just one. They just drop you onto this other bed, and you're just there like you're watching everything, but you can't feel it. And then they hooked me up. They put that tray there because you can't see what's going down, and there's like this reflector thing. And then I'm just there, and I'm looking at this guy, and he's like, "Are you okay? Is everything fine?" I'm like, "Yes." So I don't know if they do this like normally, but we had to wear masks in the delivery room. I had to, and I feel like I just needed to breathe because I was like panicking a bit. But then I was just there, like, okay, ding-a-ling-ling, it's gonna start when he walks in. I'm waiting for him. Well, I'm waiting for them to bring him in, and then like I see him come in, and then this guy is like, "Oh, just to let you know, they already started." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. So when I'm walking in there, like I'm one of the doctors. But yeah, she was getting cut, or she was cut open already. And then I just I wanted to see her face, like just to see how she was doing. And then she was just there, like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah, my face lit up when I saw it.
And then I was like, "What the shit is going on here?" Because hey, at that point, the docs were like already like, you know, the Ghanaian assistant, they were hands in her guts and everything, and at that point they were trying to stretch the opening, so they didn't cut more, they just like tugged. So one of them is from this side and the other one's from that side, and they were just yanking her, and I obviously can see both sides. It's like, you know how a magician has like two body parts when they pull the boxes apart, and she has this thing in between her, so she can't see, so she's looking at me, and
because I want to see his reaction. Like if something is going wrong, I'm gonna see his eyes get like big or like panic, and then I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is wrong." But like,
yeah, but for me, I was so detached from my like emotion. I don't have any emotion. I was just like looking at this, like just as is, you know. And there I am. I look at her, and she's smiling, like, "Ah." And then I look down, and like these people, they like just pulling out stuff from her, and I can see. Yeah, I could see stuff. So yeah, I was chill. I don't really. It didn't really bother me. I don't feel sick or anything, because for me it was like I just want her to be okay, and make sure she's not like freaking out and stuff like that.
and I was fine, but there was just one moment which my body got like instantly like almost frozen, and then I turned to the anesthetist and I was like, "I'm feeling very, very cold. Is this normal?" And he's like, "No, it's fine. It's fine. Just calm down. It's fine." Then I was like, "Okay."
So I held her hand, and I was just there, and then in a matter of minutes, they actually took the first baby out.
But before that, like, my body was just like moving. I felt no pain whatsoever. Not like, it was just pressure, and I felt like it was just side to side.
That's what I was saying, when they were like just tugging, and I could see that, and I was like, this is like one of those crazy, like sick movies, like Hannibal style, like, you know.
You make birth sound so terrible.
Well, it wasn't like gory and like sick. I'm just saying, like,
There's no other reason to say this.
someone's cut open there. So wow, what was you gonna say?
But the reason they had to tug so much and like really get into it was because Elena, baby A, was like in position, like down, like just wedged, like stuck. So they had to like reach and get her out. That's why all the tugging was happening.
I was just really thinking about, what we actually came in for at this point, and why we came in so early is because of Liana, the smaller baby, and that, that was the concern. And now they couldn't get to her before they took Elena out. So I was just there waiting to the end point to see that everything is okay. So after the gynecologist, he actually made away, and then he took Elena out. So as he took her out, he held her up, and she was crying and stuff. And I looked at her, and then I looked at you, and for me it was just like, okay, cool, it's a baby. Then we're waiting for the next one. I wasn't like, oh my god, like, and crying and emotional and oh, love, love, love. I was just like, okay, cool, there's a baby, she's okay. Right, okay, next one. Don't ask me why I'm just like that. Before, she couldn't really, she was like still there. Did you see Elena? So,
but I felt her come out.
So I saw her, and then she was crying, and like, to the people that already know and have been there at that moment, you know what babies look like when they come out. So it wasn't like, love, oh yes, fatherhood, I'm just it's a baby when they're born. And yeah, so that's that. So they put her down on a table, and the pediatrician went to just look and to make sure everything's okay, and he was happy. So I even asked him, is everything okay, all good? And she was just laying there crying, screaming, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And then the nurses came, and then they saw to her, and then I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for Liana to come out. And then like it was just a minute, and the gynecologist, he pulled her out, and she was crying as well.
And they took her out with like so much of ease. Like Elena just cleared the way because she just like popped that out. That's why it was like a minute apart.
Yeah. So they took her out, and I think that's when you saw her.
Yeah, they brought her to me to show. I think because they knew like she was the baby that we were concerned about. So they just brought her and showed it to me. And like they like let her touch my cheek for like a second. I didn't even like look at her properly. And then they took her away.
Yeah, and then when I looked, I saw Elena was already gone. I was also concerned on Liana, and then eventually I didn't know which way to go because she's laying there open, like a stall, everything is there open, and one baby's gone, one baby's there. Now what the hell am I supposed to do? So I just looked at her and I was like, you're gonna be 100. You're gonna be okay. Like, you cut open. Like, okay.
I said, yeah, go. Just go with them. I'll be okay. Because at that point, I was like, I trusted these people. I mean, like the worst had already happened, and I was like, I'm gonna be okay. Just go with the babies because I couldn't see them. I wasn't gonna move now. So yeah.
Yeah. So I basically rushed up. And by then the babies were already going up. So I went up to the NICU. Well, actually, I didn't go in the NICU. I actually went and asked the nurses, if I can go in and stuff. Then they were like, look, they cleaning the babies up, and they sing to them, and they're preparing them basically. And then they'll call me when I can come in. So this was, I think, one of the hardest parts as well, is that in the time that I had to wait, I had to literally go and sit in the ward where her room was, and I had to just sit there for like, it was like, could be like 10, 15 minutes, maybe, I don't know, I can't even recall, but I had to just sit there after a whole experience like that, and I didn't get to even lay a finger or just touch, my child, one of them. And no one was there. It was just me. She wasn't there with me. My kids weren't there with me. It was just the empty feeling, and it was very I don't know how to explain it, but I was very sort of impatient, and I needed, either her to be there or for me to see my children.
Yeah, with me, I was getting sewn up, and then they moved me to this recovery section for like 10 minutes. And they said they just want to see if I'm okay and all of that, if I'm having any reactions. And when I was fine, then they took me back up.
But I think as they took her back up, that's when they called me and they told me that I can come in.
Yeah, we just passed each other. Like, remember
No, when I was coming out, that's when I saw you.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, when I went in, when they called me, I went in, and the way they gave it off was like, I can't be long and stuff, because they need to make sure the babies are fine. But when I went into the NSU, Liana was in this cubicle, and Elena was there with tubes and the whole readings, the sort of like the ECG stuff. Like, it's just to check. I forgot what the name is, but it's just to check all the vitals and every detail. So then they sort of get an overall sort of scoring thing to say that the baby's fine. But they were there and just laying there, and then I asked the nurse, like, is Liana fine? Because you put her in this cubicle, like, is it because oxygen or whatever? Is it her lungs and stuff? And they were like, no, she's fine. So just bear in mind that that the injections that she took, the steroids that she took the day before, was specifically for the treatment of their lungs, so that their lungs can be strengthened for when they're born and stuff like that. So I also had that on top of my mind, because that was a concern. In most cases, you read about it, you hear about it, even the doctor will tell you about it. But so when I saw her in that cubicle, I assumed that, and she was so small and like thin, and like it was.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, Elena was 2.2, which is already small for a baby, and Liana was 1.9. And like the difference, it was so crazy looking at the two of them next to each other. Like, they're small babies. Elena is a small baby, but her compared to Liana was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was that. I think that's what sort of brought that those nerves on, because you just sort of you're hoping that she's fine. We're seeing her like that. I mean, you guys are gonna see the pictures of it later. But yeah, I mean, when we look back now, it's just something else. But yeah, so at the time I saw them, and I was there for like, I won't even say 5 minutes, probably less. I don't know. But I just asked the right questions, because that's, for me, that's how I am. I just asked the nurse, is everything okay? Is the lungs fine? Is there any complications? Did you do this? Blah blah blah. Just to for me, for peace of mind, just to know that everything's okay. Okay, cool. And I didn't think much of it, because I was like, okay, if I leave, I can come back and so on. Like, I didn't think much of it. But then when I left, and then I met her in the ward, I was like, and she's just there, like normal, like. And so it was weird, because babies just came out, and I saw,
Yeah, I didn't know what to feel. Don't forget, at that point, like, I knew I wasn't going to see them. I already didn't see them, like, when they came out, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to walk to where the ward was. No one was going to take me. I would only see them the next day. And you're just trying to like take everything in, and I know because of COVID, he was going to have to leave the hospital.
Yeah, so like I was saying, was that when I left the babies, I thought I could be there, for the day, be by her, and then go back and stuff like that. But when I went back to the ward and I met her, and she the meds and injections and stuff, I think it was still, it didn't wear off or anything. So you were just chilling, like just another day there. The nurse was like, you can stay for like about 10 minutes more. And I was like,
because he was only allowed to be in the hospital for like 2 hours, I think, and the time was up.
Yeah, and I wasn't allowed to like be in theater as well. So yeah, they told me that, and for me, even when we had this conversation with the doc, we just thought, you know, and okay, he said it's fine, they're going to go to NICU either way, and it's going to be okay. Even if they find, they still need to go there because they're twins and this and that. So we're like, okay, cool. So they should be out like in like 2-3 days
Yeah,
or
when
whatever.
I'm getting discharged,
Yeah.
they'll be okay to go home.
So I didn't think much of it, and I think that's what made it okay when the lady said, okay, 10 minutes or whatever. And then I spoke to her, said, you know, goodbyes and stuff, and I was like, you know, I'll chat to you and we can update each other. And then I left. I left not knowing that I'd only get to see all of them 11 days after